The Chinese government says that travel restrictions imposed by several countries on Chinese arrivals are politically motivated and has warned that it may retaliate. Some countries have already introduced their own measures, but an EU-wide decision is expected on Wednesday. China adopted a zero-COVID strategy with strict restrictions for most of the pandemic, but abruptly eased them in December. Azadeh Mashiri reports.
China is opening up again, or at least it's trying to. The country has seen almost 3 years of strict COVID restrictions and mostly closed borders. Now, China is scrapping its travel restrictions in and out of the country from the 8th of January. But with an easing of its strict COVID policies has come a rise in cases. And there are fears the Chinese government may be underreporting infections as well as deaths. Some experts predict there could already be more than 2 million cases a day.
We want to limit case numbers so the virus doesn't get the opportunity to replicate and accumulate these mutations, which may result in a variant that can spread more easily or evade immunity.
In response, more than a dozen countries such as the United Kingdom, the United States and India are putting up roadblocks. They're demanding mandatory COVID testing upon arrival. But China is crying foul and warning it will retaliate in kind.
We have noticed that health experts in many countries had recently said the coronavirus strains currently circulating in China had been seen in other parts of the world before. China always believes that the national pandemic prevention measures should be scientific and appropriate and should not be taken as a chance for political manipulation.
The World Health Organization is urging China to share real-time information. And in the meantime, the European Union has offered free COVID vaccines to help contain the virus. That's an offer China quickly rejected as one of the world's toughest anti-COVID regimes comes to an end.
Our reporter Azadeh Mashiri has been explaining in more detail what's being considered.
Well, their main concern is another wave of infections just when life is starting to feel like it's back to normal. And so they're looking at a European response, perhaps some form of restrictions or testing when those border restrictions in China lift on the 8th of January. Now, some European countries have already put restrictions in place. They said they will. Countries like Italy, Spain, France have said that they'll perhaps have some form of testing, perhaps proof of a negative COVID test before arrival or proof of vaccination. What the EU is looking at in this latest meeting is a coordinated response across the EU, and they say that most member states have said that they would support that sort of action. Now, the real concern here is the lack of transparency and information around COVID figures within China. During their last daily COVID update, the Chinese government said that they have about fewer than 5,000 cases per day. But that's for a population of more than 1.4 billion people. And so the World Health Organization has said that that average sounds quite low. And some analysts say that they believe the daily COVID caseload right now is at more than 2 million and that it could reach a peak of almost 4 million this month.